This is TWiT.
Let's get to it. What does this report tell us about the state of cinema audio?
Well, the report was really started with my recognizing that the work I was doing in production sound and the work going through the whole film chain wasn't coming out like I heard it when we were recording it on the set. As you recall, I spent most of my career in Hollywood as a production sound engineer and heard very, very good actors, both stage and screen actors, speaking over very high quality mics into my headphones. And I was appalled to find out very early on that they didn't sound that way at the movie theater, and it concerned me a great deal.
So this led you to want to investigate what was going on in movie theaters, which I often thought was pretty consistent, at least in those theaters certified by THX, whose sole purpose in life, not sole purpose, but one of its primary purposes, certainly one of its founding principles, is to make the sound in theaters consistent from one to another and to the dubbing stage from whence the sound originated. Is this not the case?
It's not the case. It's, I think, never been the case, but it's gotten much, much worse, I believe, since we went to digital cinema, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I think we should put the cover page of the report up first so the viewers can get the address from SMPTE where anybody can download the report and read it, and I encourage everyone to do that. The report is 220-some pages long.
Holy smokes.
And contains a great deal of engineering analysis that I think everyone in not just the cinema world, but in the home theater world is going to find troubling.
Yeah.
And as you know, the report was just released a week or so ago, on October 1st.
Mm-hmm. A couple of weeks ago. And let's make sure, those of you who happen to be listening, let's make sure we know what that URL is. It's www.smpte.org/standards/reports. And from there, you'll be able to find this report, which is labeled, if I can see it one more time, TC25 CSS B chain frequency and temporal response analysis of theaters and dubbing stages. Now, those of you who are listening and not watching, I recommend that on this particular case, you go back and watch the video, because this is going to be a little unusual episode of Home Theater Geeks. We actually have a PowerPoint slide pack to show you, because there's so much information here that Brian put together a whole PowerPoint slideshow. So we're going to explain it as we go along, so you'll get the gist of it in audio, but I think it would probably behoove you to check this one out on video at some point when you can. Now, in that title is a term that I want to make sure everybody understands, which is B chain, the letter B, and then the word chain. Can you explain what that means?
The B chain is the part of the motion picture audio reproduction chain that begins at the soundtrack in the theaters and ends at your ears. It's what comes out of the soundtrack, how the soundtrack is processed into the theater, and the loudspeakers and how they've been calibrated and set up in that theater, and what you end up hearing in the theater. That's the B chain.
That's the B chain. And so you did an analysis of the B chain in a variety of theaters and dubbing stages, which is where the soundtrack of a movie is put together, to see if there is any standardization. And I think it's fair to say that you found that there isn't?
We found that there isn't, and even more troubling, we found that none of the 4 theaters tested, all very mainstream Hollywood-based theaters, some of which are used for premieres, and the 2 dubbing rooms in Hollywood that we tested, none of them are performing even remotely close to each other. And this also kind of validated the work of Philip Newell and his group in Europe, which tested 19 theaters and dubbing rooms in Europe and found the same results in Europe. Not only did they not, the dubbing rooms didn't match each other, the theaters didn't match each other, but nothing matched each other at all. And
Oh,
that's
man.
it's a real serious problem for the film industry.